All right, we're going to get right into a question today that, you probably think you know the answer to, but I'm willing to bet you don't. We're about to uncover this really surprising, kind of forgotten story of the world's very first video game.
So who was it? I mean, really, who was the world's first game developer? When you picture that person, you're probably thinking of, some tech visionary in Silicon Valley, or maybe a brilliant engineer in a lab in Japan. But the real story? Oh, it's so much more unexpected and, frankly, way more interesting than that.
Okay, so let's get into it. To find our answer, we've got to go all the way back to post-war Britain. Now, you have to imagine a time when computers were these massive, room-sized machines. I mean, the very idea of using one for fun was, well, it was completely revolutionary.
So our story begins with a guy named Christopher Strachey, and he wasn't some famous inventor. No, he was a high school math teacher at the prestigious Harrow School in London, and he saw these brand new computing machines not just as giant calculators, but as something much, much more.
So, what was it? What drove a teacher to take on these incredibly complicated early computers? Well, it was a fascination with a brand new idea, one that was just starting to bubble up, an idea that would basically come to define the world we live in today.
You see, Strachey was absolutely captivated by this emerging field called artificial intelligence. He was reading all these wild new theories about how a machine could maybe think or even play a board game. And he realized something pretty profound. The best way to test those ideas wasn't just to talk about them, it was to actually build a game and see what happens.
And his journey, it happened at a breakneck pace. We're talking about going from a curious teacher to a real computing pioneer in just a couple of years. But that moment in 1951, his first big attempt, well, that shows us it was definitely not a straight line to success.
Yeah, his ambition basically hit a brick wall right away. His first big attempt was a complete failure. And honestly, it's his reaction to that failure that really sets this whole amazing story in motion.
So he managed to get access to one of Britain's very first computers, the Pilot Ace, which, by the way, was designed by the legend himself, Alan Turing. But when Strachey tried to run his checkers program, they called it drafts over there, it didn't work. The problem was the machine's internal design was always changing, which made it a super unstable target for his pretty complex code.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Instead of just giving up or trying to rewrite everything from scratch, Strachey made a really brilliant move. He pivoted. He decided to shift his focus away from that constantly changing Pilot Ace to a much more stable, commercially available machine, the Manchester Mark I.
And this decision, this pivot, it led directly to his ultimate success. And as it turns out, he had a very, very important person in his corner, encouraging him the whole time.
That's right, we're talking about Alan Turing. The father of computer science himself encouraged Strachey not to give up. And with that incredible support, Strachey took his original program and adapted it, or, ported it, to run on the new Manchester Mark I computer. And in the summer of 1952, it worked. The game actually came to life. Now, Strachey never gave it a fancy, formal name, but it became known as MUC Drafts, with MUC just standing for Manchester University Computer. And that right there, that marks the birth of the first truly playable computer game.
But here's what's so amazing. Strachey didn't just create a program that, worked. He gave it a personality. He actually made it feel like you were playing against a real opponent.
Okay, so the way you'd interact with it was wild. The computer would print out text on a teletypewriter, and players would make their moves using actual physical switches. And the screen, for the display, this is my favorite part. In this incredible hack, Strachey hijacked two CRT monitors that were actually meant to display the computer's memory, and he used them to show the game board in real time. Just genius.
And this wasn't just some silent robotic opponent. The program would print out messages on that teletypewriter, including little phrases that gave it this amazing spark of life, like this one, almost showing its own excitement when it was about to win.
And it even had a bit of an attitude. Seriously, if a player kept making illegal moves, the machine would print out this super sassy message, pretty much telling you to stop wasting its time. Think about that for a second. A computer in 1952 with a sense of humor. But, this groundbreaking invention was really just the beginning for Christopher Strachey. You might think he'd go on to create a whole gaming empire, right? But his true legacy, it's even bigger and even more fundamental to the technology we all use every single day.
Because his drafts program was the first game ever to be successfully ported from one computer system to another, he absolutely earned the title of the world's first game developer, a high school math teacher from London. It's just amazing.
But here's the big twist. After this incredible success, Strachey didn't make another game. He moved on, because his true passion wasn't games. It was programming languages. It was about creating the tools that would let other people build amazing things.
And this is his true monumental impact. Years later, Strachey co-creates a programming language called CPL. Then CPL goes on to influence another language, BCPL, which then leads to the B language, which finally evolves into the C programming language, one of the most influential programming languages in all of history. Seriously, the code running your phone, your car, your computer, it all has a distant echo of that teacher's pioneering work.
It just goes to show that history is absolutely filled with these incredible figures like Christopher Strachey, whose curiosity ended up changing the world in ways they never could have possibly imagined. And it really leaves you wondering, what other hidden pioneers shaped our digital world just waiting for us to rediscover their stories?